Ladies, gentlemen, stalker exes, haters who show up and watch me despite the hate, thank you all for joining me. I read your comments. I read every single one of them. If you take the time to write a comment, I'm going to read it. If there is any sort of question inherent or explicitly stated in that question, I'll respond to it. And somewhere on this screen, there's a comment that I thought bore some inspection. Understand that in my previous two SIG videos and my SIG short, I did not go into the entirety of problems with SIGs. I'll talk about the most recent stuff here in just a second, but one of the things that's plagued the P320 since its inception is a depressing tendency on occasion to go bang when the gun's not fully in battery, and that usually involves some level of disassembly of the gun in the immediate aftermath of that bang. So in other words, it is a bang that's commanded by a trigger press, but less than desirable things happen, like the extractor blowing out, and hopefully that's it if you're lucky. If not, maybe the gun completely gets disassembled, and that's happened to more than one individual. You can reference the photos that I'm putting around, a lot of them from Ben Stoger's Instagram, which you can see, and several of them from my good friend Matt, who had one happen to him, and that was his first and last interaction. Maybe not his first, but his last interaction with the P320. At that point, once Sig repaired it, he sold it, and I believe that he has never messed with the P320 since. And those are just the out-of-battery incidents. Recently, Montvale in Connecticut, their police department had uncommanded discharge while the gun was in the holster and they were wrestling with a suspect. The footage I'll put once again somewhere, and I'll link to the article in the description, is readily available. And you can see it for yourself. There's nothing interfering with that holster, so no little kid fingers got into the holster and made the gun go bang, or any loose items like keys or drawstrings from jackets or anything like that. I'm not saying those things can't happen. They certainly can. And in a duty holster that's got enough room for a light, there is a little bit of space around that gun. So if you are exceptionally uncircumspect in all the junk you have hanging around the holster, the possibility of that sort of discharge, no matter how remote, is certainly there. But I think that is super rare. What I will say is that the SIG going off by itself, while also super rare, it keeps happening. And it happens obviously with pre-voluntary upgrade guns, post-voluntary upgrade guns. Seems to happen a lot with PD guns, but I think that that's probably because in many cases that police department has a whole pile of those SIGs. They get banged around in holsters and done all the things that cops do with guns. Am I saying that every cop on the planet is completely faultless when it comes to any sort of accidental or negligent discharge? No. Look, you know as well as I that there are some cops who are brilliant and circumspect with their guns. And there are other cops who don't care and who neglect the shit out of their guns and don't really pay any attention to what they're doing, including when it comes to handling that gun. So I'm not saying cops are perfect, but on the whole, we're seeing a lot more of these happen because of the large number of those guns that are in service with various police departments. My good friend Joe said that SIG has come out and even admitted the problem, although I'd have to go back and get Joe to send me the actual piece of video or literature that says that. Unfortunately, I don't have that direct link, but Joe says that SIG themselves are telling you that if you are running one of those guns, that before your shift or every day, you should unload the gun completely, dry fire it, and then reload it. And that is what they say is a safety practice to keep that gun from doing anything bad. As it just so happens, in my local area, there are at least 3 police departments right now still issuing some variation of the SIG P320. I think it's going to get down to 2 sometime in the next 5 to 6 months, owing to repeated issues. And they've had a few. They've not had any as catastrophic as the ones that are making the news. Well, I take that back. They've had 1. But understand that they're moving away from SIG. I don't know if the other 2 agencies in the area will follow suit or if they will stubbornly stick with that gun. If you're an officer with one of those jurisdictions where you're given a SIG and you're told that you have to wear it, unload that gun before every shift, dry fire it, reload it, put it back in your holster, go about your business. I would not carry that gun appendix. I would not carry in a concealment holster that has that muzzle pointed anywhere near Parts of my body that I care about also exist. I think it really, at this point, if you're forced to carry it, it's a duty holster only kind of gun, and that's the end of the story. So that's the best I can do for you. You won't see me owning one of those guns. You will not. There's just too many issues. The out of battery discharge thing can be mitigated if you want to buy an aftermarket disconnector and install it into it. That seems like putting lipstick on a pig, guys. There are a lot of other guns out there that are useful guns, that are reliable guns. If you want a polymer framed striker fired pistol, let's go through the list. And maybe you hate Glocks, so just forget about Glocks. The Heckler & Koch VP9, Smith & Wesson M&P, it's a good gun. Let's see, the Walther PDP, and probably some of the other Walthers. I'm sure there's others, guys. Heck, at this point, I'd even take a gamble on the Springfield Armory Echelon. Everybody says promising things about it, but it's so brand new, it's hard to tell, and Springfield Armory comes with their own spotty history of weird issues, so I don't know. But what is interesting to me is that the Echelon, which is a chassis-based pistol, so that the actual fire control unit, the serialized piece, is a chassis that goes in and out of grip modules. If that really appeals to you, maybe that's your jam. The Echelon has a trigger dingus on it, which the Sig does not. I suspect it's probably got a much more robust set of sear springs holding that sear in place with the connection with the striker than the Sig. At least I would hope, because the going theory about the Sig failure to not go bang revolves around the very delicate and small set of sear springs in that chassis. I don't know. Let me know your theories. Say more comments like my dumb comment here about me needing to apologize to Sig and my viewers. If anything, I owe my viewers an apology for not telling you just how serious the problems with that guns are, because in my previous videos, like I said, I didn't even go into the out of battery stuff. I just talked about the occasional tendency of that gun to go bang when nobody pressed the trigger. So even if your gun doesn't go bang on you without pressing the trigger, it can certainly blow up on you. And for that matter, even if it doesn't blow up on you, if you get a little too heavy-handed with lubricant and your chassis gets a little bit soaked and then it gums, your trigger will fail to reset. Your gun will just go dead. And I've seen that happen numerous times with my own two eyes. The only cure for that I have found is to pull the chassis out of the gun, walk out to the front of the building with a can of gun scrubber or some non-chlorinated brake cleaner, spray the crap out of the chassis so that you get all the gunk and lube out of it, put it back in the gun, and the problem goes away. Now, I know what you're thinking for that last one. Hey, just don't use so much oil. Well, that's cool, but sometimes stuff happens. It just does. And especially when you're dealing with a whole group of individuals issued a gun, can I count on every single one of those persons being 100% meticulous and fastidious with just the right amount of lube, only the right amount of lube, and no more? I think you already know the answer to that question, ladies and gentlemen. You just do. There's no way you don't, if you're being realistic. And like I said, hit me in the comments if one of your comments is especially entertaining or egregious, like my man who wants me to give an apology to Sig and all of my viewers. Maybe you'll be featured in an upcoming video. That's all I got. I'm not going to make this video any longer. Thanks for watching, guys. If you do have to deal with that Sig, please be careful. Even if you don't have to deal with Sig, be careful, stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.
Get him, Jay.